And we have a go for auto sequence start. Discovery's onboard computers have primary control of all the vehicle's critical functions. Start, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery.
Welcome to the Launchpad. I'm your host, Harry Washington. And those of you joining us for the first time, the Launchpad is sponsored by Pursuing a Dream Corporation. Pursuing a Dream Corporation is a nonprofit organization that encourages students to pursue degrees and careers in areas of science, technology, engineering, math, or STEM. Today's show will focus on STEM. Our first guest is Mr. George Wells, Senior Director of Admissions at Capital College. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how long has Capital College been in existence?
Well, we were founded in 1927, and our current campus over where the old Laurel Raceway is right off of 295 and Powder Mill Road. We've been there since 1980.
Now, how many programs do you have that you offer that focus, well, undergraduate as well as graduate programs that focus on STEM?
Well, right now we're the only private institution in the state of Maryland that focuses exclusively in areas of engineering, information technologies, computer sciences, and project management. The programs that we offer, especially in STEM, are engineering, electrical, software, computer, and astronautical engineering, satellites, really, really cool stuff. We also have information assurance, computer science, and a very, very strong program in web development and new programs in iPhone and Android app development. We have the only doctorate program in information assurance, cybersecurity, master's in information assurance, astronautical engineering, and computer science as well.
Now, why is it important for students to pursue careers in STEM? Obviously, you guys have a heavy STEM focus. Why is it important?
Well, STEM tacks into everything nowadays, and students are finding themselves immersed more and more in technology as we are as a society. And this location, where we are, the Baltimore-Washington Technology Corridor, is the hub for government development, national defense, telecommunications. These students, especially in this region, have a unique opportunity for internships, jobs, education, exposure, a lot of STEM outreach programs like this show.
Exactly.
They come right along with the idea that students and computers and technology are becoming one. And it doesn't matter what major or what career field that you want to go in, having some type of STEM background, having some handle of technology can help augment anything that you would want to do.
Now, what programs does Capital College offer for high school students, in terms of STEM-related programs they offer for high school students?
Well, we have programs like our Jumpstart Junior program, where every spring we bring in about 300 to 400 high school juniors, and we have this great expo on campus where they get the opportunity to walk around and actually come into contact with people who are professionals in their field, students who are majors in those various areas, where a student can see someone closer to their age who's actually doing something in a STEM field. We launch rockets, we move robots, we do all kinds of things. We're also big partners in FIRST Robotics, which is an excellent STEM outreach program that's international. We sponsor robotics teams, we host 2 kickoffs, and even have hosted a qualifying tournament in the First Tech Challenge. We have a scholarship program. This is an $800,000 grant that we've received from the National Science Foundation to sponsor a number of STEM-related scholarships for students to come to Capital and major in any field in engineering and technology for full tuition. So a student who wanted to take advantage of that could simply apply to Capital College as any student would, and if you have a 3.0 or higher GPA, an 1100 critical reading and math score combined, you could have the opportunity to, go to school for almost nothing.
Wow. But now, do you have any programs for students who may not meet that criteria?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we're working on developing STEM outreach camps for cybersecurity, engineering, astronautical engineering, where students will be able to come to campus, come into contact with cybersecurity through our cyber battle laboratory. We also have an astronautical engineering laboratory where students can work with 3D printers and 3D imaging. And we'll also be working with computer science camps as well through organizations like Maryland Mesa, the MHEC, and other partners who are going to be bringing programs to campus for students to attend.
Now, why should students apply to Capital College? Because you have all these wonderful things, but why should they apply?
Well, you know, we are a small school, and I think that students appreciate having one-on-one with professors. I think they appreciate having a family-oriented environment, even though we're a technology-based school. We also provide a job placement guarantee after graduation, where the average starting salary for students graduated from Capital range between $60,000 and $70,000 per year. We have very liberal and very generous scholarships, and I'll tell you what, a student who is looking to maximize on the hard work that they've done in high school can definitely find a place that's going to recognize that financially. And I think that that is going to be the environment where students will be able to succeed and have lots of opportunities for exposure, internships, and employment after graduation.
Excellent. Now, in terms of internships, when do students start internships? Obviously, those undergraduate students, but when do they start? It's
so important to do internships, and because of our proximity to NASA, which is only about 1.5 miles away, and they're one of our biggest and most active partners, they offer students the opportunity to intern as early as the 2nd semester of their freshman year. See, these students are getting into their major, and they're taking major-specific courses from very early on, day one. So they're building skill sets from the very beginning of their education that are marketable out there in the internship world. We have NSA headquarters is only about 6 miles from campus. We're surrounded by every major government office and corporation that anyone has ever heard of that has anything to do with telecommunications, national defense, and STEM. So these students will get that kind of opportunity and access as early as they find it's a good fit for them.
Excellent. Now, what advice would you give to students who are preparing to enter college?
Take your education very seriously, of course, but also try to match your skill sets with your passion. And then what I like to call weaponizing your degree. Basically figure out what it is I like to do, what am I good at, and how does that meet the needs of the job market. Now, for our students, that's not a very hard prospect because our programs match very, very well with what's going on in the STEM community and career fields. But for students who are going into a wide variety of fields, I say, definitely go out there, look for a wide variety of schools. There's over 4,000 colleges and universities out there. These students are receiving mail from every direction, email, phone calls. It can be very daunting. It can be very hard to engage. But I tell those students, you know, enthusiasm, motivation, and perseverance are your biggest tools, and they're your best assets.
Excellent. We'd like to thank our guest, Mr. Walls, for joining us. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Launchpad. I'm your host, Harry Washington, and right now we're going to have a spotlight segment where we focus on individuals who work in STEM-related fields. Today we have Mr. Eric Hammond, who's a firefighter EMT with the Arundel County Fire Department. Welcome to the show, Mr. Hammond.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to be here.
Now, what influenced you to begin working with the fire department?
Well, actually, a long time ago, I used to watch an old TV show called NonEmergency. And I used to love the things that the paramedic did on the show, how they help people in the certain situations that they were in, and the adrenaline and all that comes from that. So down the road, I had a brother that went into the Arundel County Fire Department, and I decided that's what I wanted to do. So I went in as a firefighter and trained to become a paramedic. So I've been a paramedic for over 10 years in the Arundel County Fire Department.
Excellent. Now, describe your position as an EMT.
Okay, what I do as an EMT is in the fire department that 85% of the calls are medical calls in the fire department, and that's basically the average in all departments these days. So we will arrive to do any type of medical call as far as medical illnesses, heart attacks, respiratory problems and that. We also on the scene involved in any motor vehicle collisions where trauma injuries where, you know, we go there and do all we need to do to support that. So we're trained in medical trauma, a little bit of everything, and we perform the emergency medicine in the field. So we basically get there to stabilize the patient, package the patient, and transport the patient, and takes, especially in cardio-related situations, we take the first steps in delivering that emergency medicine so that once we get there, the physician at the emergency room, we already hit it again.
Gotcha. Now here's a difficult question for you. Now what do you think about those commercials when they have the fire department getting these cats out of these trees?
Well, I've seen those commercials, and the reality is we do those things.
Oh, really?
We've been known to get tropical birds out of trees. Cats off roof, and yeah, we do those calls.
Wow. Now, how much training is required to become an EMT?
Okay. I basically went back after I finished my probational period as a firefighter, and went to Arundel Community College, 2-year program. The first year, you basically take in your sciences, your math. One of the biggest courses that you need is anatomy and physiology. You need to know the parts of the body, and it's not just that. You need to know how the parts of the body work. You know, that's where the physiology part come in. You want to really understand it. And then the second year of that is you do a lot of what you call your clinical work, where you actually go out into the field and perform things. You do ride-alongs with a paramedic unit. You go to the hospitals, to the trauma centers. I trained at the Maryland Shock Trauma Center. You have to have so many hours in the trauma. You have to have so many hours in medical. We go to the peds ward to deal with pediatric kids, pediatrics. We go to the OBN, GYN. You know, so we have a variety of everything in the medical field that you go and do clinical work on.
Now, how much of your job requires you to use some aspect of STEM?
100% of what I do requires me to do some aspect of STEM. Of course, the science is overwhelming with the biology part of it. The technology part, we do a lot with computers. Every patient care report we do must be done electronically. So we on the computers, you know, doing that part of it. Engineering part, sometimes, especially in trauma situations, you got to come up with something to get these people out the call, out the motor vehicle, whatever situation they in, entrapments, you know. So you got to think, you got to come with something, you know. Everything you see it's not, you know, what you've read in the book, what you practice. When you go out in the world, it's black and white in the book, but when you're really out there, it's gray. So you got to think on your feet, you got to come up with it, and you got to, you know, improvise and get things to come out. Of course, with math, my medicine dosage, you know, I need to have my math on, because I give the wrong dosage, I'll cause more problems than help. You know, and basically overall, when I think of STEM program, my philosophy is it's a problem you solve, and then you check the problem. Okay, that's basically what we do all day in treatment. We come up and we have a problem. We see the problem, you know, we resolve the problem. And then once we resolve the problem, we check to make sure everything's okay.
Now, what would you say some of the essential skills that you use in performing your job?
Definitely my skills, you have to be patient. You have to be patient, most definitely, to work on this. Communication is a big key. Communication, because you got to communicate with the person to know exactly what you need, to find really what the problem is. Because sometimes as you're treating a patient, the physical problems that you see may be masking something that's more going on. My skills, as far as able to do IVs, putting IV in, I'm listening to heart rate and all. I have a monitor that we use that we throw the 12 leads in and perform EKGs. I'll be able to read the EKG, interpret it, what it is, and from that point on, I know what to do. If I need to speed the heart down, slow the heart down, do I need to start the heart? You know.
So some certain procedure for those different aspects.
One of the big things, especially in cardio side of it, is when we put that monitor on and do the EKG reading, you know, that let us know what's our next step is going to be. We have medication. That monitor has the ability to speed up a heart, slow down a heart, stop a heart, you know, and it also has the ability to pace a heart. Well, in the same thing, that's the electronic part of it. We have the medicine part of it. So the medication that we have, we also have medication to slow down the heart, to speed up the heart, to stop the heart, or put the heart in the correct rhythm.
But also, I'm sure a big part of your job is problem solving. Like you said, arriving on the accident scene and just actually going through the process of knowing what to do and relying on your experience to do that.
Most definitely. One of the biggest things, like we said, is problem solving, where we come on scene and we look and we observe to see what's going on. We do our initial assessment. You know, take your initial assessment, get as much information as you can. Well, history, we need to know the history of the patient. We need to know the history as far as their health conditions. We need to know the history as far as what were they doing, you know, the environment, what's going on. So we get a complete history, and that helps us come with our diagnosis or the way to treat the patient.
Now, in terms of high school students that are interested in becoming a firefighter or EMT, take us through what's the criteria, what's the process?
Okay, the process of getting into a a fire department, number one, it's required that you take a written test.
Okay.
Actually, the minimum requirements as an entry level is to be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED,
Okay.
and have a valid driver's license. From that point on, we require that you take a written test and pass a minimum of 70% to move on to the next step. The next step requires a oral interview panel, where you have one personnel from our human resources or personnel department, and one person from the fire department, a two-panel panel, and we do an oral interview around 5 questions.
Okay.
After that, we have what you call candidate physical agility test.
Okay.
It's our physical test to take you through to see if you physically can do what it's required to become a firefighter. The test runs about 8 different steps. Through this whole test, we simulate things that you're actually going to do as being a firefighter.
Gotcha.
One of the first things we do in this test is put 50 pounds of weight on you.
Wow.
And the first event is called the stair climber, where we add another 25 pounds of weight on you, so you have a total of 75 pounds of weight on you, and you take and walk the steps
Wow.
for 3 minutes and 20 seconds. It simulates you walking up 6 flights of stairs with all your equipment on.
Wow.
You know, after that, we take you through a hose pull where you take and drag a hose, like you're taking and pulling the hose off an engine into the fire and pulling the hose to you. Then after that, we take you to another 8 feet. You walk and you pick up a chainsaw and what we call a K-12 saw. That, of course, simulates you getting equipment in a car wreck or entrapment and bringing it into, the scene. And from that, you go and you do what we call a ladder raise and a ladder pull. You basically lift the ladder up and then you raise it up to the correct level. And then after that, we have forcible entry, where you take a sledgehammer and you bang a computer mechanism with a certain amount of times or with enough power for it to alarm and go off. So it simulates you breaking into a door and forcible entry, where it's a case where we have a person down and we can't get in the house, or it's a fire and we can't get in. And after you do that, you go through a maze. And you run through the maze, and that simulates you, of course, inside a house, smoke filled, you can't see anything, you don't know where you're going, so your hands and knees, you're feeling around and you feel your way through the maze. And after you come out the maze, you run and we do what we call a body pull, where you take and drag a 160-foot dummy around the pole, about around the barrel, 80 feet, and come back down.
Wow.
And then the final the final step on that process is what we call a roof pull, where you used a hook, we call a hook, and you simulate you're pulling off the ceiling to open up for fire and all. And the one that you're pulling down, it's about 80 pounds of pressure on that, and the one you're pushing up is about 40 pounds of pressure on that.
Wow.
So you have 10 minutes and 20 seconds to finish that whole course.
Wow.
So after you passed all that, then we go into a background check. And after the background check, your physical.
But now, any final words?
Okay. The position of a firefighter and paramedic, it's without a doubt, it's one of the most rewarding fields that you can be in. Science is extremely important. That our field is run by science, especially as a paramedic. The best thing you can do is make sure you're in shape physically. Make sure you get your biology courses in. Don't forget about that computer, because you're going to use it. In the technology part of it, you're going to have to be able to think. And the field is something that you go through all the studying and all the books, and it's black and white. But once you get out the field and in the actual world, it's gray. So you got to learn how to think. You got to be fast about it. And you got to be able to deal with the stress and the pressure behind it, doing this job. But it's the best job in the world.
Excellent. We'd like to thank our guest, Mr. Hammock. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Launchpad. I'm your host, Harry Washington, and we're going to end the show with a fire and emergency response tips from Mr. Eric Hammock, who is a firefighter and EMT with the Arundel County Fire Department. Mr. Hammock, give us help our audience. What are some good fire and safety tips?
Okay, being around this time of the year when the weather is starting getting warm and we just had Memorial Day, one of the things we want to talk about is the cooking on the grill.
Yep.
With the charcoal grill, you know, we love our charcoal grill, we love our cookout. Boy, no one loves a cookout more than me, and I'm biased to the charcoal grill. But when you're cooking on that grill, the biggest thing we happen is, number one, you have people, especially in apartments, they like to cook on the balconies or never cook on the grill inside, number one, but they like to cook on the balcony and things, or have the grill that's too close to the house. We recommend keeping the grill far away from the house, about 10 to 15 feet. Also, watch what you do when you're getting rid of your charcoal. Although you're done cooking and that charcoal may seem like it's cooled off, it's not. So make sure you dispose of that in a container that is fireproof. We have people tendency to want to put it close to the house or put it on the grass or something, or put it in the shed or whatever, and end up having a shed fire or causing a little brush fire in the grass and all. With the propane tanks, the biggest thing, especially the first time of the year, you want to make sure it's not leaking. One of the things you can do the first time you're starting is make sure all the knobs working, and take a little soap and water and maybe a spray bottle and spray around all the hoses. And if you see any bubbling going on, then obviously there's a leak. Please do not use the grill. Also, this time of year, with Memorial Day just passing, it's swimming time. We're getting out in the water. So, of course, you want to make sure when you're around the pools, watch the kids. You know, the kids are really fast. You may think you're watching them, but they will get, away from you. Watch the kids. Swimming around in any water in this area, we're very unique in this county and in this area. We have a lot of tidal water, right? So it's a lot of movement water, different depths and all. You may think the water's not that fast or whatever, but you get in and it takes you. So if you see someone in the water and maybe drowning, the first thing you want to do, of course, is scream and yell and try to get help there.
Not trying to rescue them yourself.
No, definitely not try to rescue. We go with a reach, throw, and go, especially for you, where if you have something around long enough that you can attempt to use to reach them, then use something to reach them and get them out. If you can't reach them, then maybe it's something that you have around that you can throw. If you have something that you can throw at them, go ahead and throw it out, hopefully a rope or something, and pull them back in. If you can't reach, throw, then as far as you're concerned, as the bystander, go, that means go get help. If you have the cell phone there, call, go get help or whatever, but those are, good techniques to have in mind and this time of the year.
Now, what about emergency non-response? What calls necessitate an emergency and what calls don't?
Okay. With us, our little philosophy is they call, we haul. So if you call them, we're gonna take you. But emergency what really necessitate emergency is something that you cannot handle yourself. Something that a little Band-Aid is not going to do, fix. Something that a little cough medicine is not going to fix. You see a person that is having trouble breathing, obviously that's an emergency. Any type of person with any type of chest pain, that's an emergency to us. Anything that's out of the norm, one of the biggest things, if you see a person with altered mental status, if something's going on, if that person's just not acting right, especially this time of year when it may heat up, someone's outside and they're not acting right, that's an emergency. That could be either a heat stroke going on or some type of heat problem caused from the environment. So those things, are emergencies. The kids playing outside, breaking bones or broke bones, falls, injuries in that nature like that, those are emergencies. Some non-emergencies, toothaches, little simple pains like that, things in that nature. One big non-emergency is you have your doctor's appointment the next day. So you would like to go to the hospital the day before, so you call us to be a taxi cab instead of actually treating the patient, things in that nature. But without a doubt, though, if you have any type of medical issue, you think it's a problem, call 911.
No problem. That's our show for today. We'd like to thank our guests. We'll see you next time.